How China is helping to facilitate Israel's apartheid state. China's loud proclamation of support for Palestine cover up its complicity in Israel's settlement building. They are the second largest weapons export to Israel besides the United States itself. This is an article written by Rassan Shamarmeh. We had to have some notes before we start. This critical analysis by the scholar Ghassan Shahrameh shines the spotlight on particular contradiction between China's lofty geopolitical rhetoric and its market practice. Politicians talk of supporting Palestinian sovereignty while Chinese corporations are eagerly held to build illegal Israeli settlements. While it is true that the narrative of the omniscient, all-powerful, and totalizing Chinese state is a false one, and numerous Marxists has argued it, it's also true that the state and corporation can align on certain points when it suits them, has recently been reported about discontinued Chinese drone sales to Ukraine. As always, it seems the reality of the ground tends to be mixed on many truths, all of which supports the notion that China's role in the global market and interventions into geopolitical affairs are complex and often contradictory, just as it is how with other nations. It should go without saying that this critique of China's hypocrisy does not imply there are major actors in the Palestinian genocide currently underway in Gaza, nor does it in any way excuse the United States' culpability as the main imperial benefactor of Israel. This opinion, the point that's been established to make is important. Research the inter-imperial entanglement between the United States and China, more often than not, find the two superpowers sharing opportunity for exploitation and profit-seeking in regions such as MENA and the rest of the African continent, racked by conflict generated by neocolonial extraction of mineral resources or control of critical logistical crossroads. Still, on the projection though, this antagonistic cooperation between the United States and China should in fact highlight for us common space for agitation between various Chinese and Sinophone communities and the Palestinian solidarity movement. Now, let's continue. No need Rasa for you to go to China. Come to Huwara. China is here. Though this said jokingly by the friend of Rasan, who has his full name being withheld for security reasons, these words carry heavy truth. Huwara is a small Palestinian village near Nablus, surrounded by most of the violent and ideologically extreme Zionist settlements in the country, including Yisar. When I asked what he meant, he told, Chinese workers are living and working in nearby settlements. I see them regularly in the village streets, shopping at the local Palestinian stores. End quote. That offhand remarks a couple months ago pushed me to investigate further. I spoke with Palestinians across the occupied West Bank and collected their testimonies. Ali, who lives in Ramallah near the Beit El settlement, told me I have seen thousands of Chinese workers building homes and infrastructures in Beit El. Sahel from Hero recalled that during the COVID-19 pandemic, settlers had quarantined the Chinese workers separate from others. Such testimonial reveals an uncomfortable truth. Chinese labor is actively and visibly contributing to the construction of Israel's settlement on occupied Palestinian land. Ironically, this reality stands in direct contradiction to China's own state policy. A decade ago, it forbade Chinese construction crews from working in Israeli settlements. Back in 2015, China signed a bilateral labor agreement with Israel that included stipulated preventing Chinese workers from being employed to occupy West Bank. Notably, this condition was motivated by safety concerns rather by principles than by the legality or the immorality of settlement construction. However, in 2016, the safety concerns appear to have diminished when China acquired Ahaba, a settlement-based company located in Mississippi Shalem. 1 year later, both countries signed another labor agreement to bring in 6,000 Chinese construction workers to Israel under the same condition. Israel Foreign Ministry spokesman Emmanuel Nashon confirmed the deal was based on the concern for the safety and security of the workers. However, Chinese officials responded by saying that the real issue was not safety, but China's objection to construction in the settlement. Yet they interviewed with residents, from Nablus to Ramal to Hebron, made it clear the Chinese workers remained present and involved in settlement expansion. This raised serious questions about the sincerity of China's supposed opposition to Israel's settlement activity. Amid the ongoing genocide in Gaza, Chinese officials have publicly expressed concern over increased settled colonial violence in the occupied West Bank. Foreign Ministry spokesman Lin Jian stated that in September last year that Israel must stop the illegal settlement activities in the West Bank. Although this is the hypocrisy on their part, while they're doing colonial expansion in Mongolia, North Korea, Hong Kong, Macau, Taiwan, and Tibet, and doing genocide against the Uyghur people. But while Benji speaks of restraint, China's company adding support of occupation and the settled colonial project in Palestine. One of the most striking examples is Adam Agricultural Solution, a former Israeli company now fully funded by Chinese state-run firm China National Chemical Corporation, or CHEM China. Amid the Gaza war, Adama mobilizes workers to support farmers who have been suffering from shortages of workers, including farmers in the south and the surrounding residents of the Gaza envelope in the northern settlement. According to the report in the Jerusalem Post, and I quote, while Beijing voices opposition to settlement activity, its economic ties with Israel strengthened the foundation of Zionist colonialism. End quote. Uh, Quoted in the same report, a representative at the man said, and I quote, the farmers of the country and the farmers of the settlement around Gaza in particular are the pioneers of our days and they continue work as necessary to maintain security of the country. These days they return to cultivate their lands alongside enormous pain and a lack of working hands. And Adama, we have the right to help them in times of routine and to stand by them also in times of crisis. End quote. In January 2024, Alabama went to launch his scholarship fund on around 1 billion shekels or $275,000 to support academic degrees in agriculture for residents of the Gaza envelope and Northern settlement. Adaman has a long history of collaboration with several institutions. Its products have been used in agricultural trials conducted in Israeli settlements in the Jordan Valley. Even more troubling, one of the herbicides had been used by a contractor of the Israeli military in aerial spraying that has destroyed vegetation along the Gaza border. While China presents itself as a neutral or sympathetic actor of the conflict, its ownership of Adaman links is directly to the militarized destruction of the Palestinian livelihood, supporting the colonial entrenchment. This is not an isolated case. In recent years, several state-owned Chinese companies, along with other private Chinese firms, had invested directly or indirectly in Israeli settlement or companies operate within them. To take case of Tinuva, a major Israeli food production that operates in an illegal settlement. Despite the international call to boycott the company, China's state-owned conglomerate Bright Food acquired a 56% stake in Tinuva in 2024. In 2021, Tinuva won a tender to operate 22 public transportation lines that serve 16 settlements in Mate Yehuda, all built on occupied land in East Jerusalem and the West Bank. They aren't just buses, they are infrastructure supporting colonial entrenchment, making settler life easier and more permanent. Another example is the 2016 acquisition by China's Fosun Group of Havana, a cosmetic brand whose manufacturing is based on the Mischief Chalet settlement. Havana, the target of the global boycott campaign, was previously identified by the UN General Assembly as part of the illegal settlement enterprise. All the while, Chinese diplomats continue to issue the call for Israel to halt its settlement expansion. Former Ambassador Shang Zhong told the UN Security Council in late 2023, we urge Israel to calm the intensified settled violence in West Bank so as to avoid the concurrent hotspot and the spread of conflict. His successor, Fu Kong, echoed the message, urging Israel to stop the illegal settlement activities in the West Bank. But what about China's own involvement in these very activities? The UN's Human Rights Agency regularly reports on businesses involved in settlement-related activities, yet Chinese companies continue such collaborations. According to numerous UN resolutions, Israel settlement constitutes a flagrant violation of international law. Chinese action directly contradicts the legal principle it claims to uphold. While Beijing voices opposition to settlement activity, its economic ties with Israel strengthened the foundation of the Zionist colonialism fascist apartheid state at the expense of Palestinian rights. What's more disturbing is how effectively these investments have remained under the radar, quietly sustaining apartheid while Beijing speaks of an independent Palestinian state. Give the forced rhetoric that China is wants to be a socialist state or wants to be a communist state in the future, while in reality is a state capitalist society which sadly, worst case scenario may become like the United States based under the new principles of anarcho slash libertarian capitalism, one of the most destructive ideologies in the world that we only see put in practice one time, which was the Congo Free State. And that was one of the bloodiest, most atrocities the world has ever seen. And now, given the global new wave of fascism in multiple countries in the world that I mentioned couple videos back, this may be the case. Yeah, I will say with certainty both the United States and China are fascist states.